I thought it might be fun to show you an example of how to use a comparative tarot reading technique with the Tarot of Creativity that I created. I enjoy using both the Rider-Waite-Smith deck and my own deck together, but they do have different directions and different purposes and different ways that they're read, different intents behind them. What I like to do, or I have been doing, is to lay out a spread first with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and then lay the cards, the corresponding cards, over the top of that after I did the reading with the first spread. The Rider-Waite-Smith deck is a very honest but blunt deck. It tells it like it is, whether you want to hear it or not. Now, my deck has a different intent, and it is really adjusted for a new energy of creativity and non-karmic type of personal development. Whereas the more ancient decks, the ones that are steeped in tradition, are also about personal development, but they tend to be more about karmic events. The lower cards have been used for romance, predicting. The court cards especially have been used for predicting lovers and things like that, so it tends to be more fortune-telling kind of things from the twos through the court cards. In my deck, the court cards tend to be more about personal mastery within that particular suit. So here I have a spread that I first pulled in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and it's a 3-card spread, which to many people means past, present, and future. You can interpret that any way you want, but I pulled the Queen of Swords in the past, which to me is a mastery of thought, particularly feminine thought, so it tends to be, it kind of steeped more in unconditional love, or that idea of detachment, which is what unconditional love really is. It's not about passion, it's not about attachment, it's about detachment. And that's pretty accurate to what I feel I've been doing. The present is the Four of Swords, which is one of the best cards in the sword suit. The sword suit in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck tends to be rather negative in all the connotations. Remember, swords are about thought, and thought tends to get in our way a lot. Our mental confabulations, our squirrel caging, as it were, always seems to be in our way. So the Four of Swords is really about rest, meditation, taking it easy, integrating. And the 4 is a very stable number, so of course it would be about rest. Now, when you get to the next card, which is the future card, I pulled the 8 of Swords. And that doesn't look very good, but the shamanic interpretation of that is about a type of initiation, walking blindfolded through adversity and through barriers. So in that sense, it's a good one. And she's also on her way out. So then I pulled the corresponding cards on the Tarot of Creativity. I got the Queen of Swords is the 13, which is Remember in the air suit. And it's really about, well, a lot more than just personal remembrance or souvenirs, which is the word in French. Souvenir means to remember. But it's also about ancestral memory, karma, Akashic records, everything that belongs really not just to the past, but remembering one's innate personal nature, one's natural self. If you notice in this card, the child has no shadow. There's an adult walking with a child down a path, and the adult has a shadow, but the child has none. The child would be the inner child. This child comes to earth without any karma, without any past, but only pure potential. The next card, the 4 of Swords, which is the 4 of air in my particular deck, is in the upright version, and the word there is parameters. Now, parameters are the situation, the particular paradigm that you're in, and it forms like a kind of box around you, or a container. And that can be seen as good or bad. It's a neutral word. And most of the cards, well, all the cards in my deck are potentially neutral. If you'll notice on the other side, it says beliefs. And beliefs are the ceiling of your particular system. So if you get past the parameters and you get to the next energy of the card, which means it's turned upside down, each one of my cards and the lower cards, which are the number cards, are capable of being seen as the upright version being the beginning of an energy, and the reversed version as being the end of that same energy from the number and the suit. So remember, the number 4 is a very stable number. It's the number of the earth. And as the number of the earth, and because I'm pretty much involved in this idea of the evolution of consciousness, I would say that this would be the earth as it stands right now, and also my own personal body and system. But it's not my beliefs, because I'm not there yet, or that's already past, being upside down. The next card is the 8 of Swords, which translates into the 8 of air, air being the suit of thought. And the word here is unify. I kind of like that better than the 8 of Swords. It's more positive. It gives me a clue as far as what I'm really trying to do, which is to unify. And if you'll notice, the 8 is the double of the 4. And the 8 is a very magical number. It is the number, if you put it on its side, it's the Lemniscat, or the infinity sign. So if I read these together, using my deck, I would say the remembrance is past, the time of remembering, the time of maybe even grieving for the past, because I have, is past, because it's in the past position. I'm currently in a rest period, because I'm going to take this from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I like the idea of rest. There are parameters around me, I'm aware of that. I'm not fighting against them. I'm just observing them. And my future is, or what I see in my immediate future, is the idea of unifying all that I am and all that's happened in the previous 2 cards. So the remembrance and the grief and the coming out of that period, the rest, or the world that I'm in, and being in a state of calm and rest about it. And I'm going to unify those 2 aspects. I'm going to bring it into focus and see what magic I can produce in the next few days.